She said, "I won't marry you unless you give me $15,000. 3 days later, I found her engaged to another man. So I exposed every dollar she took, ruined her image, and ignored the 30 calls she made that night. I'm 34, and for the last 2.5 years, I thought I had found my forever person. We met in such a casual way that it almost felt like fate, and from the start, I felt like I had finally met someone I could build a future with. She was fun, full of energy, and seemed to love being around me. I fell hard and fast. From the very beginning, though, there was this one thing that kept showing up in our relationship: money. At first, it didn't seem like a red flag. She'd asked for small amounts here and there. $50 for groceries, $100 for a utility bill, sometimes a little extra for something urgent. I told myself relationships aren't about keeping score, and because I cared about her, I didn't think twice about helping. I remember the very first time she asked. It was such a casual thing. "Hey, can you spot me some money? I'll pay you back when I get the chance." I said yes without hesitation. I wasn't worried about repayment because I believed her. I told myself it was normal. Couples support each other. But as time went on, the pattern became clear. She never paid me back. Not once. She didn't even bring it up. No thank you. No acknowledgement. It was as if the money never existed once it left my hands. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe she'd pay me when she could. But months turned into years, and every time she needed something, I was the first person she called. There were moments when my mind whispered that something wasn't right, but my heart was louder. I loved her. I wanted to believe she appreciated me, even if she didn't say it out loud. I convinced myself this was just temporary, that when she was more stable, she'd give back, or at least recognize the effort I was putting in. Looking back, I can see how blind I was. I was pouring from my cup over and over again, and she never once tried to refill it. Then one day, everything escalated. It was late in the evening, and we were on the phone. Her voice was urgent, panicked almost. She said she needed money, this time not a small amount, but a staggering $15,000. I went silent. My heart was pounding in my chest, but not in the way it used to when she called me. This time, it was fear. $15,000. That wasn't just helping out. That was huge. My mind screamed at me, "Don't do it. This is too much. She's using you." But then, my heart, the part of me still hopelessly in love, started whispering, "If you help her now, it will prove you're serious. It will prove your love." I didn't want to lose her. I didn't want to see her suffer. So instead of shutting her down, I thought of a compromise, something that could turn this moment into proof of commitment from both of us. I decided that if I was going to give her this much money, it had to mean something. So I told myself I'll propose. If she says yes, then I'll give her the money, and it will all feel worth it. I started planning it out in my head, my stomach in knots the whole time. I imagined her face lighting up, maybe even crying tears of joy. I thought maybe this was the turning point, that all of my sacrifices and all of my trust would finally matter. So I bought a ring, rehearsed what I'd say, and prepared myself for the biggest question of my life. The day I decided to propose, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I'm not the kind of guy who usually gets nervous, but this felt different. I had convinced myself this was the moment that would change everything. I thought, if she says yes, then all of this, the money, the sacrifices, the late nights worrying, will finally make sense. She'll see how serious I am, and maybe she'll stop treating my support like it's just expected. So I went to see her, ring in my pocket, heart racing like I was 18 again. We talked for a while about nothing in particular, her day, some errands, the usual. But the whole time, my mind was focused on what I was about to do. Finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I pulled out the ring, took a deep breath, and asked her to marry me. For a second, she just stared at me, and in that split second, I thought I saw tears forming in her eyes. I thought maybe she was overwhelmed with happiness. My heart actually leapt. I thought she was going to say yes. But then she opened her mouth, and her words felt like a punch to the chest. She said, "I will not compromise my life for you. I have big dreams. I'm not going to marry you now. If you give me the money, then maybe I'll think about marriage." I froze. I don't even remember breathing in that moment. All I could do was stare at her, trying to process what I'd just heard. Here I was, pouring my entire heart out, offering her a future, and she turned it into a transaction. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about us. It was about money. Something inside me cracked right then. I wanted to scream, to walk out, to call her out for everything she had done to me. But instead, the part of me that still loved her, the part that didn't want to lose her, took control. I told her I didn't have the full amount right away, but I could give her half. So I gave her $7,500, promising that I'd try to arrange the rest. She, of course, promised she would return it in a year. And even though every fiber of my being told me otherwise, I nodded like I believed her. Deep down, I knew she never would. In the entire 2.5 years we had been together, she hadn't returned a single cent. Not one. Still, I held on to hope. I told myself maybe she just needed time. Maybe once her dreams were settled, she'd come back around. Maybe she just wasn't ready for marriage yet, but she still loved me in her own way. That was the lie I told myself, the story I used to keep the pain at bay. But just 3 days later, my world collapsed. I was scrolling through WhatsApp when I saw her status update. My heart stopped when I clicked on it. There she was, smiling, dressed up, standing next to another man I had never seen before. And on her finger was an engagement ring. The caption under the photo read, "My dream man. My love. He always respects me." I dropped my phone. My hands were shaking, but not from nerves this time, from rage, disbelief, heartbreak all at once. 3 days. Just 3 days after I proposed and gave her $7,500, she was engaged to someone else. In that moment, I realized the truth I had been avoiding for years. I was nothing more than an ATM to her. I can't even put into words what I felt when I saw that photo. It was like my entire body went numb. 3 days. That's all it took for her to show me who she really was. 3 days after I gave her half the money she demanded, after I proposed with every ounce of sincerity I had left, she was suddenly engaged to another man. I stared at that status for what felt like hours. My eyes kept going back to the caption, "My dream man. My love. He always respects me." Those words cut deeper than the photo itself. Wasn't I the one who respected her? Wasn't I the one who stood by her side, no matter what she needed? I had been there through every so-called emergency, every late-night phone call, every financial crisis. I had poured not just my money but my entire self into her, believing we had a future. And yet, she threw it all away and credited another man for the very thing I thought I had been giving her all along. I broke that night. I cried in a way I hadn't cried in years. Real, uncontrollable sobs that left me gasping for air. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It felt like everything I had built over the last 2.5 years, every sacrifice, every dollar, every ounce of trust, was just a cruel joke. When I finally calmed down, I started to do the math. Over the course of our relationship, I had given her more than $45,000. Rent, bills, emergencies, shopping trips, and now this massive loan she swore she'd return. And for what? For her to smile in another man's arms and call him her dream? That's when something inside me shifted. The tears dried up, and in their place came anger. Not the kind of anger that makes you lash out immediately, but the cold kind. The kind that tells you it's time to stop being silent. I decided I wasn't going to just let her walk away while pretending none of it ever happened. She thought I was weak, that I would just keep funding her life and fade into the background once she found someone else. She thought wrong. The next morning, I pulled up our WhatsApp conversation. I scrolled through every transfer confirmation, every "I'll pay you back" promise, every screenshot of bank transactions. I had the proof right there in my hands. So I commented directly on her status. My message was simple. "Where is my money? Good to see you're living your dream life." And with that, I attached screenshots, every single receipt, PayPal transfer, and bank statement I could find. I wanted her to know that I wasn't blind anymore. I wanted her to see that I had the evidence, and I wasn't afraid to use it. I hit send, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of control. She didn't reply immediately. Hours passed, but I didn't care. I knew she saw it, and I knew that if she thought I was going to stay quiet while she moved on, she was in for a rude awakening. I went to bed that night with my heart still heavy, but for the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't completely powerless anymore. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Sending that message on WhatsApp felt like the first stone dropped into still water. I knew the ripples were coming, but I wasn't prepared for just how far they would reach. The more I sat with it, the angrier I became. It wasn't just about the $45,000. It wasn't even just about her being engaged to another man 3 days after I proposed. It was about the years I had wasted, the loyalty I had given, the way she looked me in the eye over and over again and lied. She thought I would stay quiet. She thought I would lick my wounds and move on while she skipped into her new life, leaving me to carry the burden. But I couldn't let that happen. So I decided to go public. I sat down at my computer and opened my social media. I started typing. I didn't mention her name, but I didn't need to. Everyone who knew us would know exactly who I was talking about. I wrote about how I had been in a relationship for over 2 years with a woman I loved deeply. How she constantly borrowed money, never returned a cent, and never once acknowledged the support I gave her. I included screenshots, bank transfers, PayPal receipts, even casual messages where she promised she'd get me back soon. And then I told the world what happened just 3 days after I proposed. How she showed off her engagement to another man, calling him her dream, while I was still reeling from giving her thousands more. I didn't add insults. I didn't rant. I just told the truth, step by step, with the receipts to prove it. When I hit post, my hands were shaking. For a moment, I wondered if I had gone too far. But then the comments started rolling in. Within minutes, people were furious on my behalf. Words like gold digger, user, and heartless flooded the thread. Friends, acquaintances, even people I hadn't spoken to in years reached out to tell me they couldn't believe what they were reading. By the end of the night, the post had spread further than I ever imagined. Her reputation, this image she worked so hard to cultivate, was crumbling right before her eyes. And that's when she finally reached out. My phone buzzed over and over again. At first, it was texts. Delete that right now. You've humiliated me. Then calls. When I didn't answer, the texts got more desperate. Please. You don't know what you've done. Everyone's turning on me. You've destroyed my image. I'll never forgive you for this. I just sat there, watching the screen light up, and for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. She was panicking, and I wasn't. The tables had turned. I didn't reply. I didn't delete the post. I let her sit with the same helplessness she had left me with countless times. By the next day, mutual friends started telling me she was furious, that she was calling everyone to explain her side. But no one was buying it. The receipts were too clear. The timeline was too obvious. Her carefully built facade had cracked, and she couldn't tape it back together. For once, I wasn't the one losing sleep. The calls didn't stop for days. At first, she was angry, furious even. Her messages were full of rage. You've ruined my life. Do you know what you've done? Then, when that didn't work, she tried guilt. I trusted you. I opened up to you. How could you betray me like this? I almost laughed at the word betray. After everything she had done, after using me like an ATM for over 2 years, I was the one betraying her? The hypocrisy was unbelievable. Finally, her tone shifted again. She started begging. Please delete the post. Everyone hates me because of you. I'll never forgive you if you don't. That was the message that finally made me respond. I wrote back. Keep your forgiveness. Just give me my money back. She went silent for a few minutes, then replied. You know I don't have it right now. I'll pay you soon. But I knew that was a lie. She'd been saying soon for 2.5 years, and not once had she returned a single dollar. This wasn't about repayment. It was about control. She thought if she dangled the promise of money, I'd back down like I always did. Not this time. I told her plainly. Don't contact me unless it's to pay me back. And then I stopped answering altogether. At first, she tried to keep pushing calls, voicemails, even messages through mutual friends. But when she realized I wasn't budging, she started to fade. The desperation in her messages was gone, replaced with cold silence. Meanwhile, the damage was already done. Her social circle turned their backs on her. People stopped defending her. The man she had been so proudly flaunting online, word got around, and he disappeared from her posts almost as quickly as he had appeared. It was like she was trying to erase evidence of her own choices. And me? I still didn't get my $45,000 back. I knew I never would. But something more important happened. I gained clarity. For the first time in years, I wasn't stuck in her web. I wasn't lying to myself anymore, pretending she loved me while ignoring all the signs. I saw her for exactly who she was. Someone who drained me, used me, and thought she could walk away untouched. But she underestimated me. She thought my silence meant weakness. She thought I'd always bend, always give, always let her win. This time, she was wrong. Even though I was out $45,000, I started to realize that money wasn't the real cost. The real price I had been paying was my peace, my dignity, my self-respect. And when I finally stood up, when I finally spoke the truth, I gained those things back. Friends who had once questioned why I stayed with her now told me they respected how I handled it. Some even admitted they had seen the red flags all along, but didn't know how to tell me. Hearing that stung, but it also reassured me. I wasn't crazy. She really had been using me. I had lost money, yes. I had lost time, too. But what I gained was far more valuable, a lesson I would carry for the rest of my life. And as for her, she was left with nothing but the consequences of her own choices. Weeks passed, and I thought it was finally over. She wasn't calling as often, the noise on social media had died down, and I started focusing on myself again. I thought she had finally accepted the fallout of her choices. But I was wrong. One night, my phone buzzed with a long message from her. It wasn't angry this time. It wasn't even defensive. It was something else entirely, desperation mixed with regret. She wrote, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But you have to understand, I wasn't ready. You were always there for me, but I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. Everyone's turned against me. People I thought were my friends won't even look at me anymore. You've destroyed me, but at the same time, I know I destroyed us first. Please, can we just talk? Please. For a moment, my chest tightened. A part of me, the part that had loved her for so long, wanted to believe her. Wanted to think maybe she finally understood the pain she had caused. But then I remembered everything. The lies. The manipulation. The way she looked me dead in the eye after I proposed and told me she wouldn't compromise her life for me unless I handed her $15,000. And then, just days later, showing off a ring from another man. I couldn't ignore that. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I sat with her words, trying to figure out what I felt. Was it satisfaction, knowing she finally admitted what she had done? Or was it just emptiness, because no amount of regret could undo the years I had wasted? A few days later, she showed up at my place. I hadn't given her my address. She already knew it, of course, but I didn't expect her to actually come. She looked different, not in the sense of her clothes or makeup, but in her demeanor. She wasn't confident, wasn't arrogant. She looked small, almost fragile. She stood at the door and said softly, "Can we talk? Please." I let her in, not because I wanted her back, but because I wanted to hear what she had to say. She sat down and started crying. Real tears this time, not the kind she used to fake when she wanted something. She admitted that she had rushed into another relationship because she thought the guy was better for her dreams, but he had walked away the moment the drama started. She admitted people were calling her a gold digger, that she couldn't escape the label. She said she hated me for exposing her, but she hated herself more for giving me the ammunition. Then she looked at me with those same eyes that once made me weak and said, "I miss you. I miss how safe I felt with you. Can we start over?" For a split second, my heart almost softened. Almost. But then I thought about the $45,000. The lies. The manipulation. The way she had reduced my love to a business deal. I told her calmly, "You don't miss me. You miss the safety net. You miss the money. You miss having someone who never questioned you. But that guy is gone. I'm not him anymore." Her tears kept coming, but I felt nothing. No anger, no love, no pity. Just clarity. She left that night with her head down. No more begging, no more promises. Just silence. And that was the last time I ever saw her. It's been months since that night she showed up at my door. She never reached out again, and honestly, I'm glad. I think we both knew there was nothing left to salvage. Whatever bond we once had was long gone, buried under lies, manipulation, and broken trust. Looking back, I can finally see the full picture. I was blind for so long. I confused love with loyalty. I kept giving and giving, pouring from my cup until there was nothing left for me. And the worst part? She never once tried to refill it. She let me carry the weight of the relationship while she reaped all the benefits. I used to tell myself that's what love is, sacrifice. But real love doesn't work like that. Real love isn't transactional. It doesn't come with price tags or ultimatums. And it certainly doesn't demand proof in the form of bank transfers and loans. Do I regret giving her so much? Absolutely. $45,000 is not a small amount, and 2.5 years is not a small chunk of my life. But at the same time, I've come to see it as the cost of a lesson I needed to learn. A very expensive tuition fee, yes, but one that opened my eyes. Because the truth is, if she hadn't revealed herself when she did, I might have married her. I might have built an entire life with someone who only saw me as a wallet. And that thought scares me far more than the money I lost. She thought I would always be her safety net. She thought I'd always be the guy who stayed quiet, who gave without asking, who accepted scraps in the name of love. She mistook my silence for weakness. But when I finally spoke up, when I finally exposed the truth, it was enough to turn her whole world upside down. People saw her for who she really was. And while I may never see a cent of that money again, I can live with the knowledge that she doesn't get to walk away clean. She has to live with the consequences of her own choices. As for me, I'm not bitter anymore. I'm cautious, yes, but not bitter. I've learned that I need to value myself more, that I need to set boundaries, even in love, especially in love. Because if someone only sticks around when you're paying for their lifestyle, they don't love you. They're using you. I'm 34 now, and while I wish I hadn't wasted those years, I also know they taught me something I won't forget. Next time I give my heart, it'll be to someone who values me, not my wallet. Someone who loves me for who I am, not for what I can provide. And maybe that's the silver lining. So yes, I lost money. Yes, I lost time. But I saved myself from a lifetime of being drained by someone who never valued me. And for that, I'll take the loss as one of the hardest, but most important, lessons of my life. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.